Weatherman. Coming at you with another video here. I kind of did this in a little bit of more of an off-order type sequence because, well, looks like we're getting into a slightly active pattern right now. And I know there's other content I've been owing you guys, so I may stagger this here and may do a little bit of a staggered order on some of these videos here and there. So hopefully you guys don't mind. Just trying to keep things rolling for you. But as we are approaching the end of October, we're going to be taking more and more looks into November as we draw close to the beginning of that month. And well, really, since we're getting closer towards winter, you can expect a winter outlook very soon. But in the meantime, this is probably going to be the fine outlook I start to give into November, right before the start of it, so to speak. So, here we go. Let's go ahead and start out by taking a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook as we're drawing towards the end of this month here. We had been talking about that negative PNA setup around the west. Towards the end of the month, that will be starting to break. However, there still will be plenty of warm air, excuse me, situated around the eastern half of the U.S., especially centered around the northeast. Pretty high confidence that we could be getting temperatures well above average over towards the interior northeast, even towards the Great Lakes now. So any snow that's been falling over here is going to melt pretty quick. But that's just a taste of what could be ahead for you guys over there. The rest of us, it's not going to be too huge of a departure here. Temperatures are either going to be above average by about maybe 5 to 10 degrees, I think, over here. Not much more than that. It's over here where the departure is going to be greatest. We still do have a smaller area and a not so robust area where we could still have below average temperatures, especially over towards the desert southwest, some parts of the northwest, or the Rocky mountains. We could be dealing with some below average temperatures, albeit the departure will be pretty slight. Go ahead and look at the 6 to 10 day precip, and this is where things are getting pretty active, but this also matches up with the active pattern that we've already started right now. Over towards the southeast, we're looking at an area of interest. And there's even been rumblings of a little bit of something going on in the tropics here, so this area over here that's based over Georgia, Georgia and the Carolinas, it could expand a little bit further to the east or to the west, or even further to the south. It's a really tough game to figure out where that's going to be. Of course, with the more active pattern, we're also going to have to look at the northwest here as being a more active spot for heavy rain and snow as well in some places, depending on where you are in your elevation potentially. Over towards the desert southwest, with it being a little bit cooler, usually that tends to bode to more drier conditions over there, so this isn't surprising at all. Then with the way the jet stream's kind of been acting, it doesn't surprise me that some parts over here towards the northern tier of the U.S. might be a little bit dry, but I kind of would have stuck with the equal chance here versus slightly drier than average. Then again, all it takes is one slight move from the jet stream, and this gets turned over on its head real easily. So let's go to days 8 to 14. And not much really changes here, especially as we get into the first real week of November. A little bit cool around the west still, but looks like we're trying to get some warm air filtering back in, especially towards the coastal north, the west coast of the U.S. here. Of course, towards the eastern half, ridge starts to lock itself in real tight, and especially over towards the northeast, really warm, well above average, maybe 20 degrees above average in some places. But this warm air really locks itself in around the southeast as well now. We could be dealing with 10 to 15 degrees above average depending on the location. And then this even tries to stretch its way out to the west a little bit here. Like it's starting to work its way back into Colorado, all the way into Mexico here, or New Mexico, I should say, and even parts of Wyoming and Montana here are maybe getting a potential peek at some above average temperatures within the next few weeks. By this point, though, our weather pattern is going to start to shift. Our active weather pattern is going to shift just a little bit more to the north slightly, as we're anticipating a little bit of a shift in the jet stream once more. But I do notice that a lot more areas are looking at more equal chance versus just flat out dry weather. Over towards the desert southwest, particularly towards eastern New Mexico, and somewhat into the southern plains here, we might be looking at a potential for a slightly drier time around here. But even so, I can only take that with a grain of salt, because again, there has been rumblings of maybe some piece of tropical energy either lingering around here or maybe even tracking this way. So we'll just have to watch that and see how that progresses. Let's just go ahead and take a full look into the month of November here. And we'll just go ahead and just look at the temperature outlook first. And clearly see that we look to be starting to go back towards that positive PNA look, where we're dealing with more above average temperatures to the west, and cooler temperatures to the east. Although this isn't a super strong this doesn't seem like it's a super strong positive PNA, or we just don't have a lot of cold air funneling in right now, just based off where the jet stream is. So around the eastern half of the U.S., we're kind of leaning right now towards more of an equal chance of either warm or colder than average temperatures versus being extremely cold like we were about a week ago now. It's pretty crazy how things work here. Alaska, the northern half, you're actually going to be above average too, which is really interesting. And then over towards the northeast, we still have an area that's above average, although the confidence in that has dwindled. Let's go ahead and look at the precipitation outlook, and this is where things are a little bit more interesting, because as I said before, it looks like we're anticipating a point where that jet stream looks like it's going to be pushing back up to the north. We need those dips in the jet stream so that way you can start looking at those bigger storm systems to come through, which could bring rain, snow, severe weather, pretty much the whole nine. And it just doesn't look like we're getting that right now. Now, keep in mind, at any point during the month of November, we could get this shift. We could get any sort of shift in the jet stream. In this area, any of these little equal chance areas could end up having an above average spot. Or even some of these lighter these lighter colors of tan and brown here could end up either becoming equal chance or above average rainfall, all depending on how the jet stream decides to flow here. So don't write this as set in stone, because simply put, there's just way too much that can happen, and still this is relatively far off, and we're talking about a whole month, a whole 30 days. So this doesn't mean that every day that you're not going to get any rain at all, or you're going to be 20 degrees above average every day or 10 degrees below average every day. It just seems like those days have a higher probability of seeing more of those days versus days that are average, or so on and so forth. So let's go ahead now and just kind of look at things week by week on the forecast runs here. So for the temperatures, of course, right now, here we are in our negative PNA patterns. Cool over the west, warm over the east. This is week 1, so we already know what we're getting. And then we go to week 2. The negative PNA here starts to break. We start to look like we're going a bit more neutral. Then about 3 to 4 weeks out, this is getting close to like right around time for Thanksgiving. We're starting to shift into a more positive PNA pattern. or neutral, I would say, maybe even. But it's pretty warm almost everywhere. Right around Thanksgiving, and really even towards the end of Thanksgiving and into the start of November, it looks like we're going to be very warm, especially around the central part of the country. Depending on how the weather pattern goes, this could be very interesting. If a storm were to go over this region, it could lead to some pretty nasty, severe weather. Again, we got to keep in mind that this is so far out. This is 6 weeks out from now. So many things could happen here to blow a whole or bust this whole forecast wide open, that it's honestly insane. So we'll of course continually be updating November, but it'll kind of be more in halves now as we start to close in more towards December. We'll probably do the same thing as in regards to the winter months. We'll do a forecast with that probably really soon. But this is pretty much all I got for this video here. Of course, as time goes on, we'll make more of these, amongst other content. But if you liked what I saw, if you jeez, I could not speak. If you liked what I did with this video here, drop me a like. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this forecast as of right now. What do you think will happen by the time we do another forecast with this? But beyond that, this has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.